Have you ever felt like your retriever might not turn out like you hoped for it to? We get it. The truth is, training a retriever isn't simple, but it doesn't have to be hard. On the Build From Here podcast, you're going to hear real stories from real people who used to be stuck with their retrievers, but are now confident they're on the right path to training their dog successfully. Welcome to the Build From Here podcast. On this episode, I am excited to be introducing you to CGA member CJ Justice, an amazing member. It's been really cool to see his journey thus far. You know, he's still reasonably early on in the journey, but he's already just made so much progress and really a great guy. We've already had some great conversation before we got on and started recording this. So I'm confident that as we get through this episode, there's going to be some things you're going to want to hear, some great stories. But now that I've bragged on it a bit, man, welcome aboard, CJ. So glad you're here.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me. We just got in from a pheasant hunt. So we're, me and the dog. The dog got a few retrieves today. It's still really early on, but he got 11, good retrieves.
Wow.
And even one that was about 150 yards. So what was good about today was, we're still super early. But what was good about today was just the amount of denials that he got. As far as just sitting
he's
on
young, so those denials are fantastic work.
Man, from even the beginning of the hunt today, to watch him just through those 2 hours, so while we're sitting there hunting, to watch him see those birds go down, and how in the beginning he was just so excited and wanted to break and stuff like that, and to get him to sit on that place board and sit steady. It was super important. Just super important. But
was this a flushing type hunt?
So
was it a tower shoot?
Yeah, this was a tower shoot.
Oh man,
we have them,
tower shoot. Those are so good.
Two or three a year. We actually have another one next week. He'll probably get to go to. But again, just to watch for him, especially early on right now, for him to see the other dogs retrieve some of the birds and him not get it, but those 15, 20 yard retrieves where they're right in front of him. But the denials were really good. By the time at the end of the hunt, I mean, he was sitting perfectly steady. Didn't really have to hold the collar or anything like that, and he was just doing good. The very last retrieve was, he saw a bird go down and he watched it the entire time, and I let him go and he went and got it, and it was a 150 yard retrieve back to a tree line. So
wow,
he came straight back with it.
Was this his first experience in hunting type setup, or has he been on something like this before?
So he hadn't been on a tower shoot or a pheasant shoot. We had an opportunity early in October to take him, and I didn't really want to introduce him too much, too quick, too fast. Again, there's a lot of people there at these hunts. There's a lot of distractions. So at that point in time, he was 6 months old, something like that. It was October, so he was about 6 months old. And I'm kind of glad I didn't. It would have been good for him to kind of see everything, but to really just sit steady, he wasn't quite there yet.
Right.
Just a lot.
It's pretty hard on a young dog like that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And there's, like I said, there's a lot of other guys, a lot of other, dogs, and you I'm not going to say you wouldn't feel intimidated being there. You want your dog to perform, but you also, you want to have a dog that's very well mannered whenever you go to some of these places. So I didn't think we were quite there yet. I knew we weren't there yet. I mean, the day that I went to that, there was a 6-month-old dog, retrieving birds. And that's great. Wow. And I think that's awesome. I think it depends on, now knowing what I know now, it depends on what you want out of your dog. That's, he just basically, he wanted a dog that, the dog went out, grabbed the bird, came back, dropped it 10 feet in front of him, came back to place next to him. He still had to go out, get the bird, still, got some reps, but probably not the quality reps that he really wanted to get. So it was good today. Yeah. He went out to Arkansas with me twice this year. Again, and it was mainly just for, basically, being in a boat, being in a blind, just getting used to those things, but not really, unless it was a retrieve that I thought that he could do, that was very, very close, something that he saw go down. never sent him. Like just never cast him out to to go and pick up the bird. But we've just been able to see him grow, and just watched him even in those two trips to really grow into what I saw today. But just
Wow.
really good, steady dog.
That's amazing, man. Well, so clearly you're big into this. Where did the love of waterfowling begin for you?
So, so as you can see behind me, there's a few mounts back there. There's a few more in the other rooms. I have a very supportive wife, because I've been doing this even today. This has been 5 months. We've been going since early September, and so she's super supportive. I can't give her enough credit for how much time I'm not around here. But we've got one last trip right now to Mexico, and that'll kind of end us for the year. But basically, where I got started, because we're in West Central Georgia, I got started on the Flint River. I know a lot of people probably know the Flint from a lot of country songs, but I got started on the Flint River, and my dad was a huge deer hunter, and he kind of wanted me to go that route and get buck fever, and I had it for a while. But when I first asked, we used to have a lot of customers come through, and one of the customers said, "Hey, let me take your son duck hunting, and we'll trade this out and work." And he had access to 1,000 acres right there on the Flint.
Wow.
And man, I didn't have any waders. I mean, there's water coming over my boots, and I had just the rubber boots. And so he sent me out there with his shotgun, and man, just watching, back, this is late 90s, and watching ducks back then, like, flutter in to the swamps. Like, it's just, I mean, there were wood ducks, but just watching them flutter in, it was like, there's nothing. I came back and I was hooked. And as we progressed, I still did it. I still did it a lot with some of his friends. He wasn't too in tune with it. He didn't want me to get consumed by it. He still wanted, the big deer hunter. But I got into it. I started working on a ranch, and I had access to about 8,000 acres, and
Wow.
it grew from there. So I went from, okay, we're just going to hunt the Flint, might get to hunt maybe 2 or 3 times a year. I had access to a swamp on the ranch that it butted up to Michael Waddell's place, right?
Yeah.
So Michael Waddell, bone collector, we had a swamp that was in Booger Bottom. And so I had
No way. That's
full
amazing.
access. Yeah, I had full access to that swamp. It butted right up against, and it was again, it's still early 2000s, late 90s, and just the ducks that we had back then in Georgia with this flyway was just incredible. So it's like, we still have some great hunts. We went on a couple of really good hunts around here, even this year. But it's just like back then, the nostalgia days, I guess, of Georgia. It was some great hunts, and that's kind of where I cut my teeth there, and on the Flint. But once
that's pretty special. I mean, that's incredible. Wow.
Yeah. It was I didn't know what I had back then. It was one of those things where you kind of took it for granted because you're so young. Hunting turkeys and hunting ducks out there, and being able to shoot a deer, big deer right there on the property. Didn't really know what we had,
Oh, man.
and to see even Michael Waddell to kind of transform into what he became, it was like, man, it's like, okay, Jeff Foxworthy right down the street from there. But it kind of in college kind of did my own thing. I was more, traveling the world and stuff like that. So it kind of took a step back, and it wasn't until recently, I had my first daughter. And when I had my first daughter, I say recently, this is 11 years now. I really wanted to get back into it. and I really wanted to focus on I had so many different things that I was doing. I really just wanted to focus on one thing, and my passion was always hunting, and my passion was always bird hunting in general.
Yeah.
And so it became one of those things where I was able to share it with my daughter, and she enjoyed it, and it just kind of grew from there. And now we're back into it, and I don't know. It was good to be able to share it and be able to share this with family. So
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's all about, and inspiring future generations to do the same, which is what you're doing. I mean, and it's pretty cool to like get your family out there, your daughter, and this is something we share in common. We're girl dads.
oh yeah,
That's the life, and
yeah,
getting to introduce them to the things that introduces us, which I think is awesome as a father too. When you start thinking about it, my daughters are gonna know what a man's man does, right? You get out
oh
there, you
yeah,
hunt, but also you're loving at the same time. You're kind, you're tender, but you're also rugged,
oh
and
yeah,
like you're teaching them the ways that it should be. And there's a lot of people out there that may not have those same characteristics, and my hope is instilling that in them will give them vision of what to look for one day when the time comes. But it's really is amazing to carry that on. But one
oh yeah,
thing that you're talking about there that I think is awesome is that relationship and connection. That's one of the values at Cornerstone. The core values is prioritizing relationship and connection. And, it starts with family, it starts with people, but also kind of the dog thing. Now, you got into waterfowling again, kind of heavy when you
yeah,
had your daughter.
yeah.
Did you have a dog back in the day? Is this something that came
So
later? What's the story there?
no, all right. So this is my first dog, right? And I've got the privilege to be able to hunt all across the country. And every year, every trip, I would always come back. I mean, it mainly in South Dakota, pheasant hunting. I would always come back, and I would always, I'm like, I've got to get a dog. I watch all these great dogs, and I'm like, I love dogs, but I always wanted a working dog.
Right.
And so I'd always tell myself like, all right, this is the season, this is the season. But it's with work and travel and having kids and just all that life in general, it's a commitment. And I didn't want where I wasn't going to be able to give that full commitment to whatever time that I was going to give to the dog. And I went back and forth with guys. They're like, oh, just get you a failed field trial dog. Just
Yeah.
get you a 2 or 3 year old almost finished dog. I'm like, that's probably not exactly the way I want to go. Um, and we ended up, so very first dog, had no clue. I've been around enough hunting and enough people that had great dogs that do I kind of know what's going on or what the different commands are? Yes, but was it enough to really excel or train my actual dog? No, not at all. I'd just be perfectly honest with but being able to hunt all these different places and hearing all these different things from everyone, it became like, all right, things were starting to settle down in my household where we were able to go up and get Gage. We this past year we lost my wife's dog,
Oh,
and he was a Great Pyrenees, big, huge, 175-pound
wow.
couch potato. But we loved him. He was an amazing dog. He was not a working dog. The most he would do is go sit out in the sunshine, or if it snowed, he would go sit in the snow.
Yeah.
But when we lost him, it gave us the ability to not only heal her heart with a new puppy, but also kind of divulge into something that I always wanted to do. And we made the decision to, it was spur of the moment. I knew somebody that was having a litter up in Kentucky, and we just decided. I told my wife. I said, "Hey, we're gonna make a road trip this weekend." And she's like, "To go where?" And I was like, "We're going to Kentucky." And she's like, "For what?" And I was like, "We'll figure it out when we get there." so I got him out of
Man.
Big Tracks Kennels up there in Kentucky. His father was Joker, and just a very good bloodline. Very not temperamental, very calm. So it was like, it was a good fit. It was right point in time. And now, kind of fast forward to where we're at now with Gage. I'm glad we started when we started because we've got 2 twin girls on the way. And they'll be here in June, and he'll actually be almost finishing up with his training. So it's kind of good, but
that's perfect timing.
Yeah. We're gonna have to take just a slight step back in some of the trips that I take every year. But it'll be a lot more local hunting and stuff like that we get to go on.
Man, how's the family feeling? You've got two other girls currently at 11-year-old and an 8-year-old. How are they feeling about twins on the way?
So one is the youngest one is incredibly open to it. She loves the idea. She says that it's now going to be more workers for all daddy's work and chores around here. The oldest
She's
one,
smart. That is smart right there, man.
The oldest one. So we told both of them on Christmas Day. We videoed it. The oldest one we did not get the reaction that we thought she was going to get. So she's always been my hunting buddy. And I think it's one of those things where she doesn't really, it was okay if it was boys. She was okay with that. But with it being girls, she knows that she has to kind of share more of that love with 2 other little girls and see that, boys, it's different. But she just feels like, oh, well, now I'm gonna have to split the duck blind with 3 other girls instead of just her and Ava. My youngest one, she hates cold weather.
Oh, really? Well, that's all right. More shooting for her. Those little ones will come along, and she'll be a good shot by the time they're old enough to hunt. So.
Oh yeah. But we're excited. God blessed us with two identical twin girls that are coming on the way, and we just keep praying that everything keeps going the way it's going, and we get to see them in June, if not late May. So
wow,
we'll see what
I'll tell you what, that whole process is never. It's nerve-wracking every time. Yeah, I can't imagine with twins, but even just having a baby in general, that's a scary process. And you're right. I mean, all you can do is pray and trust God and wait for the package to arrive.
Yep, that's right. But like I said, we'll have to take a little bit of a step back in how many big trips I do next year, which is, it's to finish him out and really, kind of cut his teeth into, where he's where it's going to be his prime, really prime years. It I wouldn't say it's a little heartfelt that I do want to go out there and go as much as I do. I mean, we hunt, like I said, beginning of September to, basically February. If we get a conservation hunt, I mean, we just came back from Arkansas last week, and it's just awesome. Bird hunting is one of those things where deer hunting's a little bit different. It's just you're there with another person and you get one shot, one deer, that's it. Bird hunting, it's the brotherhood. It's kind of the camaraderie in the blind, being able to talk, being able to do all these things together. For one purpose, and being able to share that and share those stories. And like I said, I've been blessed to be able to hunt with some amazing people. My quest is the 41, and me and Ramsey Russell were just sharing the blind the other day. And we were talking about we were in southeast Arkansas, and we were hunting together. And he's asked me, he's like, "Hey, what do you have left? What can I help out with? What do we have left? And we're talking about making a trip to Louisiana to get my mottle duck, going up to Alaska and getting my king eider, get my harlequin. But if everything goes correctly in Mexico in a couple of weeks, I should only have 8 of my remaining birds left. So
wow,
we're getting close.
That's amazing. That is truly amazing.
A good bird dog would really, really help out for sure.
That just makes the experience, as a waterfowler, my goodness. I couldn't imagine doing it without a dog. I mean, I do love the camaraderie and all that, but I love just having the entire experience.
Yeah.
And it's just, I think that dog adds to that entire
Oh,
experience. At
yeah.
least it does for me, because
Oh, yeah.
then you have more camaraderie. It's not just who shot what duck, but it's like everybody bonds around that dog going out there. Like they
Right.
know if there's a good dog in the blind, you can have more connection with the people around you. And everybody gets that opportunity versus everybody's running out there chasing birds themselves. Like a good dog can really,
Mhm.
I believe, also get you more birds. At least in the hunts
Oh,
I've
yeah.
been on with those good dogs, that's allowed us to kill more birds than we would have
Well,
normally.
I mean, yeah, I mean, even, having a successful hunt and having, just a good dog with a good nose, for some of those birds that you're not gonna find in the weeds, I mean, that's one of those things where there's been several instances where like, man, if we just had a dog, if we just had a dog, we'd be in good shape. But
Yeah.
Gage is really progressed nicely. I'm glad we kind of did it the way we did it. And my friend out there in Arkansas, I was kind of hesitant to, it's like I'm trying to follow the program in its entirety. I'm trying to follow it to a T. This is my first time, so it's like I don't, there's a lot of purists out there. There's a lot of things that you feel like you shouldn't do. And like I said, I've known a lot of people with, with a lot of good dogs, and I've listened to them, and I didn't think I was fully prepared to make that step yet. And
Yeah.
this year has been awesome with him. It's been an awesome experience with just the community, and being able to put him through this and watch him grow. I mean, that's one of the, one of the things is to watch him see what he was before when he was just a puppy
Yeah.
and getting to experience, like, you just don't get that even, making that decision, even say, "Hey, I'm gonna either train them myself or I'm just gonna send them off for, 6 months and go take them to a trainer."
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. I just felt like to really build that bond and that connection and make it more personal with me and him, um, I felt like I was lacking the handler experience to really know what I was doing.
Yeah.
And it's if I had, you came up to a dealership and I handed you the keys to a brand new Ferrari, 6 months later, and I said, "Here you go. Good luck driving it," right? And, I kinda showed you the controls, but you have no clue how to drive it,
Yeah.
And that's the way I felt is like, I thought, we have some really, really good trainers around here. Like I said, Mossy Pond, Brad Arrington's right down the street. Uh, but it's one of those things where I was kinda hesitant on it, just to really to build that bond with him was very important with me,
Mm,
to be able to get a finish what I wanted as a finished product and be able
right.
to be a good handler because I just don't think I'd I'd have a clue what I was doing in the very end, but
Man, that's a
CGA.
really good point, because I mean, a lot of you might not even really think a lot about that. You think having a trained dog, but a well-trained dog in the hands of someone that doesn't know how to run it, not so good. The dog gets independent, loses its
Yeah.
abilities,
I've
What,
seen it. I've seen it out in
you've
the
seen it?
field. Yeah, I've seen it out in
Yeah.
the field numerous times out in South Dakota. A lot of, some of the guys I hunt with, they send their dogs off for the entire year. They get them back during hunting season. They take them out there. It's, their first real trip out there with live birds, and they're no more than, just a dog that sits on your sofa, because
Mm,
the owner doesn't know, what they're doing with it. They try to send them on birds, send them on pheasants or goose, and just doesn't respond the way that the trainer trained them. So I've seen it firsthand, and and that played it big into making the decision to go with CGA. That
yeah.
was like a very very big decision.
So you wanted to have the best dog you could have, but also have that education. Let me ask you this. So it seems like the first decision you're making, do I send my dog to train at a trainer or do I do it myself? Then, the next decision is, okay, I'm going to do it myself. But, there's a lot of options out there now. What made
Oh
you
yeah.
choose to go with CGA? Like out of all the, especially with your like you said, your experience, you know a lot of purists that are going to kind of go more the American style. You probably had some friends that were saying go that way. What made you go with Cornerstone out of everything out there?
So I happened to be, I was watching a YouTube video, and this is kind of me and my wife wrestled with this decision. She obviously, she got a brand new puppy. We just got it in from Kentucky, and on the way home, we're trying to make this decision. She's like, "Well, what do you
Wow.
mean you might send him off?" I'm like, "Well, I'm still thinking. I'm still thinking. Let me. I haven't fully made the decision, but let me see. Let me see what we're going to come to conclusion of." And so we're driving back, and there's so many YouTube videos on how to train a dog, and none of them go in order. And that's just not how my brain works. I want something
Yeah.
that's very systematic. I want something that's very like you can follow. And the week by week really, really, was in tune with what I wanted to do. But I just happened to come across it. I'm sitting there watching, I think, a YouTube video coming back home from Kentucky with this brand new puppy in my wife's lap. And I was just like, well, maybe this is the answer. So I decided to sign up for the free trial and kind of, do a little test run of it. And I was like, I started watching the videos. I was like, I think I can do this. Like, I think this is like a step-by-step guide. I watched, even some of the, further progress videos. And it was just like, it's just the way that my brain works. And that's not to say that you can't make some changes, as a handler, or as a
100%.
trainer, as you go, because not all dogs are the same, and
100%.
I've learned to how to kind of adapt, certain lessons that we have going that maybe he's not taking exactly the way I want it, and we have to, we have to go outside the box just a little bit. But other than that, man, I've been so happy. And then
Wow.
we're in week 27 now. We got a little off track with a couple of trips to Arkansas. So
That's okay.
yeah,
There's permission to do that.
yeah.
That's what we're here
But
for anyways. You bought this to go hunt.
yeah, but we're a little off, track just a little bit by a few weeks. Obviously he's already got an intro to gunfire. We kind of did that one a little bit early before we went the first trip, early December, to go out there. So I skipped ahead just a little bit for that. But he did great. And to watch him even out there, because he went to Arkansas twice, and then he's done this pheasant hunt, and that's the only, again, it's not meant for every dog. Just the guy that I know that's my friend out there, Harrison Banks. He was like, man, bring him. He's like, just bring
Wow.
him. Let's just put him in the blind. We can just kill him up. Let him just watch birds. Let him watch the other dogs. Just let him get that experience of being in that blind. Watching those birds go down, knowing that shotgun goes off. Most likely a bird's going to be got by another dog. Seeing those denials, because he does not like it when another dog gets a bird, and he's just grown into what what I saw today. It's just been amazing, and I know we're only halfway there, but if it's this good, at this point in time, it's only going to get better, and
Wow.
I'm ready to see the finished product. But at the same time, it's so cool to see, just to watch him progress and watch him learn. So it's like you don't want to take for granted, like watching him, because like you go from, I'll tell you, those first 18 weeks, 19 weeks of obedience, those are tough. And that was that was one of the things where trust the process. We were talking about trust the process. It's like, man, those are rough, and to watch him sit there and fetch. Whole conditioning is like, those are rough.
Yeah.
Those are some rough days, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. And it's like, if you just trust the process, man, you get there. And like I said, I got to see just a little portion of it today to see what he's
Wow.
become. He was in Arkansas, his first trip. He was one of the most well-behaved, obedient
Wow.
dogs out there. And to see that, and to for people at that point in time, he was 8 months old, his first
Perfect,
trip out
yeah.
there, or he was about to be 8 months.
Wow.
but for people to ask and they're like, man, who trained your dog? And it's always the question, and it's like, who trained your dog? I had a guy today. He asked. He said, it was a younger kid. He said, hey, he's like, yeah, I'm thinking about getting a dog, and I'm like, this is my first dog. I have no idea. I was like, but he said, well, who did all your training? I said, I've been training it myself. He said, really? He's like, well, how have you been doing it? And so I got to tell him, exactly, what I've been following. And he's like, well, this year, like they just came back from Arkansas. They were on a conservation goose hunt. And he's like, well, that's what I want to use, because
Wow.
just seeing the reps that he got today, just by him standing next to me, he was like, that's what I want to use. That's what I
Man.
want to use. But it's a lot of work. It definitely, you got to put some time into it. We train 4 or 5 days a week sometimes, depending on, what my schedule's like. But it's at this point in time in my life, I was able to give that to him. And
Wow.
I just don't think early on, especially with kids and stuff like that, I don't think I was able to make that kind of commitment.
Yeah.
And
Definitely
now,
slows things down when you've got very young kids like
oh
you.
yeah,
They're very needy. You gotta take care of them. So,
yeah,
I've noticed
yeah,
my training has come to a much slower pace,
yeah.
which they
You know
can
what
go
it's
with
like,
me, but I've slowed things down a lot because it's like, well, they need a snack, so I gotta go get them a snack now. It's like, "Okay,
right?
hold on, dog, let me go get a snack." And then you come back out, "Well, now I need to go to the bathroom." "Oh, well, alright, let's go to the bathroom." So,
Yeah, yeah. No, it's a lot of work, but it pays off. And
yeah.
to have a good finished dog, if you hunt as much as I do, or even if you're just a weekend warrior, like a dog changes the game, especially
Oh,
for
yeah.
even around here. You're going on more successful hunts. You're retrieving more birds. On the Flint, we can't access certain areas without having a dog from being on one side.
Wow.
So it's one of those things where we're able to do that now. We're able to hunt off the boat and not have to go move the boat to go retrieve birds and kill a lot of time. You kill
Right.
half the time you're moving the boat, there's birds overhead that are, you're trying to go and retrieve birds, and then all of a sudden more birds are coming in. So you're able to have
Wow.
more successful hunts. So we're we're ready to see the finish line, but at the same time, we're trying to enjoy watching him grow in the process that we get to see of what he's become, in front
Man.
of your eyes.
That's incredible, and that's our ultimate hope for everyone. That's what I tell everybody coming in, like, "Hey, our goal." People I think are shocked by the support they get with Cornerstone. Like, when I'm talking to someone when they're thinking about it, they're like, "Well, what if am I gonna get help if I get stuck?" And, like, when I tell them all the ways they're supported between the live calls, the community. Like, for
Oh
example,
yeah.
we're doing this podcast because I saw your post and you decided to encourage others. Like, you said, "Hey, here's where we're at." You had just had a great moment with your dog, and you were encouraging people that were following in your footsteps just behind you, saying, "Look, guys, like, this is gonna," just like what you said, "there's light at the end of the tunnel. Like, this is really incredible." And it can be a challenge. Like, when you start thinking about how we train versus like what a lot of people recommend out there, we are on a totally different track, and it sometimes seems a little backwards. Like, a lot of people say, "Yeah, get your dog out as early as you can, get it as
Oh
much
yeah.
exposure as you can." There's one problem with that, and that can work, and that's fine. But with our methodology, the way we're training, we're focused on gets to, not has to. So we're not gonna try to, force any of this later. And I understand in that methodology, if you want your dog to do some of that, you can always reel it back in a collar later. That ain't our goal. Our goal is to get the dog to do it because it wants to.
Right.
Tying that back in, sometimes you're gonna take, like you said, those first 18 weeks were long. Well, there's also a reason for that as well.
Oh
It's
yeah.
number one, we're not gonna reel it back in later. And the reason I say that is if you get your dog too much exposure too early and it's an out of control exposure, we
Hmm.
know from learning theory principles, and it's been proven time and time again, every time you see a dog do something, the only reason dogs do stuff is because they are reinforced or rewarded. So if you get a dog out of control too early and it gets this hunting exposure, the smell of birds, gunfire, and all of that, and things go wrong and it's not under control,
Oh yeah.
what you have done is you have, and it's really, in my opinion, a hyper reinforcement. I believe when the dogs get into that environment, their God given environment that God made them to do, which is go pick up those birds, there's something special about that. So it's like it reinforces things even more, which
Yeah.
means you're in trouble because you're going to have a lot of work to clean up some of the problems. But in your case, you trusted the process of feels slow, but now you've got a dog that's very thoroughly trained and you will not be inhibited as you move forward in training. Versus a lot of other people are spending the weeks where you're now getting into the fun stuff. Most people did a lot of fun stuff early, and the trade-off is they're going to have to do a lot of cleanup later. In your case,
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to be doing any cleaning up. You're going to just be doing more and more fun stuff as you go. And it's really that investment mindset. Are you willing to trade off a little bit of the fun, big stuff early to get even greater, big, more thorough, a better trained dog later?
Oh
And
yeah.
that is what I'm hearing from you saying. I mean, the fact that at 8 months old, because you started training, 8 weeks old, I imagine is about the time you
Mm-hmm.
got Cornerstone, to
Yeah.
have people notice and take notice of that, or now the case where you're at week 27, to have people take notice of that just proves that you've clearly done something right and you've just done the work, which is awesome.
Yeah. And that's not to say it's like, man, some people get to even this point where, like he was able to retrieve some birds today and they're just like, hey, this is good enough. Like
Yeah.
for me, repetition, like in perfecting some of those things, even early on, like has helped so much to just slow it down and just, and demand not really perfection, but you want to be as close to perfect as possible in the very
Yeah.
beginning. And it's like, it's helped so much to what he is now. Like I said, I can't tell you how many compliments I've gotten as far as obedience goes, like how just like his commands, his sit, his stay, like he's just there. He's on place. We had some moments this morning where, early on he's super excited. He sees the birds, you can say, hey, we're gonna go, you want to go get some birds? You want to go get some ducks, and he knows what it is. He knows when I
Yeah.
put on my jacket, he knows we're about to go kill something,
Man.
and so it's like, those moments that we see like today where he was super excited in the beginning, but at the very end, by the time, he kind of calmed down, saw what was going on, like completely different dog, like
Wow.
completely different dog. But I think, when I first went there in October and I'm sitting here watching this 6-month-old, puppy, retrieve birds to this guy, I'm like, I should have brought Gage.
Yeah.
Gage could do this, and at
Yeah.
the same time, I'm sitting there like, but how many bad habits am I going to create from this? That
Yeah.
might be what he wants to do. That might be what, he's requiring of his dog.
And that's
But at the
okay.
same time, yeah, and that's
But you
okay.
want more, right? You want that
Yeah.
higher. I like the word you used, quality. I might steal that. I might start using that. The quality that you're looking for in that dog.
Yeah.
It's just
It,
we're talking about, and there's nothing wrong with dogs like that. But we
no, it's,
believe
it's
no
all
one should
what
have to
you,
settle for less. And some people end up settling just because they don't know that they can have more. I'm interested
right.
in that for you though. This was your first dog ever to train. And
That's it.
so what made you, were you just confident in Cornerstone that it could get you there? Or basically the first decision was, well, it doesn't sound like my wife's going to let me send this dog off. So now I'm going to just do my best and go as far as I can. I
Well,
mean,
there was. Hey, I'm not going to say there wasn't some of that. There was definitely some of that. She grew attached to him like from the get go, and I wasn't going to say that there was none of that. But my wife, she supported whatever decision that I made, but at the same time, she didn't want to lose a lot of that quality puppy time that we would
yeah,
have been missing out on. But it was just it. I like how it just lays everything out there for you, day by day. You've got a sheet, and just going back and I encourage this to people is videotaping a lot of your training sessions because you get to go back and watch and see like where he's progressed from, but also you're able to kind of go back. Like I was able to watch it, maybe on my way to work or while I was at work, and I could see, what he was struggling with and really say, okay, well, we need to work on that a little bit more.
right.
It's again, it's not, oh man, I'm demanding perfection, but that's just what I want out of him. And it's all about what you want out of your dog, and that's just for Gage. This is my first dog. Uh, I, I couldn't be happier, but this CGA has definitely taken me, to the next step of where I want to be. And for having other people ask, hey, who did your training. And it's like, it's a nice compliment even to yourself,
Yeah.
even though you're following a program. It's a nice compliment to yourself that, you did do some things right.
You did it
You
right.
you followed the steps and you did it right. But man, I can't tell you how many people have asked me, since some of these trips, or, just even here, at home, and getting to watch him, on all his commands. People hear my next door neighbors, they see me out here training every day, and they've got to bear witness to it too. But we're encouraged. We're encouraged to see where this really takes us. We're encouraged to see the finished product, but not in a hurry to see the finished product.
The last half goes a lot faster. I'll say that. The first half, it's the same amount of time. Legitimately, when you think about half, the feeling of it goes faster because I would say as much as you're teaching, you teach significantly more on the last half. Every week is basically 1 plus to 3 new skills per week, new concepts you're teaching per week as you move into the latter half, which makes you feel that you're doing a lot more because technically you are. It's still the same amount of training time, right? 30 minutes a day, 4 days a week. But because of the foundation you built, your dog has the ability to handle all that you're going to throw at it. So we just throw a lot. So it's that walk, jog, run. You're at week 27. You're pivoting from that jog to you're about to turn on the afterburners. It's about to be sprint time. And so as you take which is perfect time before June gets here, when your baby girls get here, perfect timing. I don't think this could have gone any more perfect on timing.
Yeah. I'm glad we made the decision that we did do. It was the commitment that I needed, but for him next year, I think we're really going to be able to shine. But it also gives me a reason to, not hunt, but focus on hunting while it's not hunting season.
That's right.
Gives me something to focus on.
I mean, I think about it year round too. That's what the dogs, deer hunting, duck hunting, all of it. Fishing, I'm kind of ate up with it all. I just want to be thinking about it year round. Like I was the guy in school, the kid in school. I could not focus on the schoolwork. And I had the ability to do that stuff, but I mean, why would I want to think about this complicated math problem and when I could be thinking about these deer and ducks that are moving around? And now, if you wanted to frame it up like, hey, this is how you can calculate the trajectory of your bullet so that you can go smoke a deer, I think I would have been extremely focused. But they're talking about stuff that I wasn't interested in. I wanted to be out there. I mean, I think all of us share that same commonality. Like we just want to be, because there's something about freeing about being out there. You're just. It's a great place to be.
Man, just being able to be outside and being able to just see the sunrises that we get to see on every hunt, and being able to get to see the sunsets on every hunt. It's just, man, I don't know. And being able to share a blind, like that's my best friend now.
Wow.
He does everything with me, and it just being able to share that and being able to watch him, grow into what he's growing into. It's awesome, but he loves it. It's what these dogs are bred to do, and when you unlock that to really see the dog's potential, because there's plenty of labs out there, to see and unlock his potential as a dog, as a gun dog. It's pretty incredible. But also, to see you as a handler / trainer and what you can, what you gain by doing that with your own dog is pretty special too. And
oh my goodness,
I think that's something that's been for me has been pretty, just pretty cool. I mean, I never thought that I could do this, I guess you'd say. And
really,
to be able to find a program that worked and, still has that systematic approach to it that I really need for my learning abilities. I think it was nice. It's laid out there. It's step by step. It's week by week. And it's created a beast of a dog, and we're not even done yet. So we're excited to see what next year really has in store for him. But I don't know. It's been really good so far. So far, he's got 17 retrieves.
17 retrieves.
17,
wow.
17 retrieves, like good retrieves.
Wow.
Nothing sloppy all the way, to the blind or to the kennel, or the place board, whatever we're hunting out of, the boat. He's gotten 17 good retrieves where
Wow.
it's two hand.
Two hand. That's pretty special. You're doing something right. I mean, and honestly, like we talked about earlier, it's easy to kind of get this mentality of, oh, let's just get them introduced. Like with my kids and stuff, like we're not worried about precision like with a young kid. Like we want to get them just falling in love with it. And you do that with a dog, but with the way the dogs learn with that reinforcement, if you start getting that sloppy reinforcement of dropping at your feet and doing all that early, you've just got 17 good retrieves. That's 17 steps in the right direction. If you get those sloppy reps, that's going to hold you back. And not to say if you have the sloppy reps, that's fine. You can work through it, and you got to have the ability to communicate and train your dog. But that's a huge win to be able to have that for your first 17 retrieves.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, it's for everybody, it's different. For me, it was one of those things where I was just trying to get him the experience of being out there, get him the experience of being where we always hunt and the blinds that we always hunt, and being able to kennel up in some of those blinds, and just being able to get him to watch the birds, watch the other dogs work. I mean, he's learned a lot of stuff just by watching other dogs, go and get the bird, whatever we happen to be shooting, and it's I wouldn't say, hey, everybody take that approach. Every dog is different. But being able to kind of slowly, put that in there, I think it helps a little bit with the progression of what you're going to see in the very end.
Wow.
But again, that was one of those decisions. I'm glad I didn't make it early on. Because definitely 6-7 month, he was not where he needed to be, and I'm glad I didn't take the opportunity to take him out there. But
it's tempting though. I won't lie. Man. It is tempting.
Yeah. I mean, when you start this program and you see the length of time, and you're sitting there, for me, I was counting the lessons in the first 17 weeks, obedience training. I'm not going to say, like I said, those were rough. And
there's a lot of lessons there.
Yeah, you're sitting there counting the lessons, and I'm watching them as I'm hitting the complete button, and I'm watching them go down, and I'm like, okay, I'm so close, And then I'm looking ahead to the next, the next onboard, or not onboarding, on the next lessons, and it's like 18. I forgot, 18 to like 20, 22, 24, something like that.
Sounds about right.
But I'm looking into that, and I'm like, I'm peeking ahead, and I'm like, where's the good stuff at? But I'm telling you, it has helped him, and I've gotten so many compliments on really having success in those first 17 weeks and setting up a very good knowledge base of obedience, to have a foundation to build this dog up into what it is, and so. We still do the reps, and we still like his heel work from the time he started to now, like it's incredible. It's incredible. We were sitting there, we were doing some heel work out there before we kind of got started, just to kind of set the pace of what the hunt was going to be, and to just be able to be able to heel him, and to be able to stop and him sit right next to you and look up. I never thought I was going to get to that point.
Wow.
Like from where he started out at. I'm like, you watch plenty of videos, you watch your videos, and you're like, how do we get there? and how do we get there quick?
Yeah.
So, to see that even today, like you can just heel him out here in the yard, and do a square, go straight to the mailbox, and stop a couple of times, and he's like right at my knee, and he's stopping, no commands needed. And so it's all about what you want out of your dog. If you want to kind of skip through those steps, I don't recommend it. Those first weeks are very, I would say, critical, where, I was the same way. I was thinking about skipping ahead a little bit, but I'm glad I didn't. And I'm glad I just, I followed what you said, and it's led me in a great direction.
It definitely seems like a lot. And I can promise you, we didn't put any videos in there that didn't need to be there. And we tried to keep it as condensed as possible, but we also, kept nothing. We wanted to hold nothing back. So when you think about that, it's like, well, you're going to hold nothing back. This is just what it is. I mean, that's just the reality. I mean, it's just a lot, but
Yeah.
it's worth it. Now, what about your transformation? So going from knowing nothing to where you're at now, um, I mean, you would have gained a lot of knowledge. Obviously, you followed the videos and implemented what you learned, but there's nuggets along the way that you're gaining, like what we talked about earlier. Just one little nugget is any behavior your dog exhibits, barking at the door, any of that stuff. It only happens because it's reinforced or rewarded. That's one tiny nugget.
Right.
There's
Yeah.
thousands of nuggets through the course. How would you say your transformation and your knowledge base has gone from just having been exposed to waterfowling and duck hunting? Like you were a big duck hunter, waterfowler, but maybe had been exposed to the dogs and
Yeah.
kind of having general ideas. How would you describe that, your knowledge base now and your personal transformation as someone that knew nothing to now where you're at now?
Yeah. So I don't think I could have done anything without watching endless YouTube videos. I don't think I would have been able to gain the knowledge in all these weeks that would set me up for where I'm at now. Again, I had all that field knowledge of listening to other guys and being around a lot of great dogs. I mean, a lot of great dogs. And so I knew some of the commands and stuff like that. But that's what was kind of a little bit, you know, bringing home a dog and deciding you're going to train it. It's like bringing home your first kid. They're handing it to you, and you know what you want out of it. You want an end result. You want a kid that is obedient and that does the right things and has the right morals and values. But how do you get there? And to be able to find this and become a good handler and trainer as you go is like it's it's just great. I mean, there's no way that I would have been able to make it and have all these like not just terminology, but all of these lessons to be able to incorporate, not just for him, but even for any future dog that I'm going to be able to train moving forward. The sad thing is they're not here with us forever, and so we know that another one will be coming down the line, but uh, it's evolved me into there's no way I would have known or done it without having something like this, and
Wow.
it's created, it's been able to help me introduce those things for long term to be able to train other dogs in the future.
That's
The
awesome.
wife's already talking about getting another Great Pyrenees, so and she wants me to train it just like he has. Like, baby, it's not the same.
Well, you can get that good obedience in there. That's pretty cool.
We'll get some obedience, but yeah, it's helped me leaps and bounds, to be able to be a better trainer because there's no way I would have been able to catch on to all this stuff without a program like this.
Wow.
But it's definitely helped for sure.
Well, man, I'm so happy that it's gone well for you so far. And at week 27, like I said, you're getting into the fun stuff now. But
Oh yeah,
the cool thing is at this stage, like you've built a lot. Like you said, some of it, may have felt tedious because you're being so thorough. But what you've already built is probably above what a lot of people's standards would have been anyways. And you've got an amazing dog that's got everything you could want and the potential to go as far as you want. So I'm really excited about these next series of weeks for you. And I really look forward to, I think we'll have to have a follow-up with you at some point. Let's maybe do another one where once you've graduated the full course, I would love to hear that. Or maybe we can talk about a hunt or something this fall, local, close by. That way you can spend some time with the family. That'd be sweet.
that definitely that sounds good. We're hoping the direction that we're going right now. We're really hoping to possibly get competitive with it and see, maybe where it's not just going to even lean towards just hunting, but also just to be able to not just do his hunt test, but go and do some competitions and see where he stands. You kind of want to see where they stand against other dogs, and you see it hunting, but that's what I see in the future now. What my wife sees in the future might not be that.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, we're definitely gonna be running and gunning until the good Lord slows us down. But Gage he's done great. He's progressed well. We like where he's at now, but we're encouraged to what we're going to get in the future, and see what it is. But it's a, I think we all go through this transition. And like when I first started hunting, and even when I first started back hunting, when you're younger, it's one of those things where you just want to see like piles of birds. You want to, you always want to have a great hunt and stuff like that, and being able to uh, have my kids and have been able to share the blind with my daughters, and now being able to share the blind with my pup. It's that transition in from being a prideful hunter and just being being one of the prideful hunters into hey, just being a teacher, and that's
Yeah.
that's something else that the course has taught me. It's like, man, what can I share that maybe I didn't get as a younger hunter with
Wow.
even training a dog? And that's kind of what we also see is like, I think that's where, the future, may lean towards this is that's what we're trying to, graduate to.
Wow.
So,
That's special right there. Man, I
yeah,
love that. You're bought into the
yeah,
vision and mission. Let's inspire future generations to do the same. And I
yeah,
mean, there's really no way to get even better than to help other people along the way too, right? It's one thing, go
yeah.
do it yourself. Now you've done it yourself. Then you go help other people, pull them along. It's, you got someone above you pulling you along, helping you get to the next step, and you've got someone below you that you're mentoring and helping grow as well. And
Oh, yeah.
that's a beautiful model that just will continue to produce, memories and experiences for people for generations to come.
Right, and there's a little bit of an intimidation factor when you get around a lot of guys with, uh, a lot of good gun dogs, and that are maybe 4 or 5-year-old dogs. Sometimes they're not always willing to share that same experience with you, and being able to teach you, and that's just what I kind of want to be. Is like, hey, y'all are giving us these skills, these lessons to be able to teach, and it's like to be able to share that even with the guy I talked to today. It's like, hey, if I can do this, I know you can do this. So
Wow.
it's something that I hope to share in the future to be able to help the kids, or people like me that was just young and dumb, and didn't get that same kind of help from certain people,
Wow.
especially with a gun dog. So
Yeah, we
we'll
gotta
see
get you
what.
to member week. I was talking we had our member orientation call Friday for we do that every week for new members, and, we had a couple of veterans hop on, Marty Haynes and then Kevin Wright, and I was just kinda bragging on them because 'cause they're the dudes that has those, 4, 3, 5, 7-year-old dogs. Marty's got
Yeah.
a couple, and then Kevin's got them, but they're always willing to help, and that's what I love about the community. Like, you will
Yeah.
see the Cornerstone community is a very special community. Like, the cool thing is we're all sharing the same playbook too, so no one's here to ridicule anybody. It's more of, "Hey, how can we help you navigate this playbook? How can we help you take those next steps?" And Kevin and Marty has always been able to do that. But I've also been, impressed to see people like you, like, jump in there and encourage people along the way. Like you said, even you don't have to be this guru. In fact, honestly, sometimes gurus are the worst people to listen to. If
Yeah.
you've e if you're around a guru who thinks that there's nothing else to learn, that's not a good thing, and I never wanna be that. I've got so much still to learn, and I'm constantly trying to learn. But when you're around someone that, has some experience that is still hungry is the key, then you can have that
Mhm.
humble
Yeah, I like
sharing
that.
of an experience, and that's what I feel like the Cornerstone community is. Just like you and Kevin and Marty, like, you've got people like you guys that are hungry for more, but you're also always willing to lend, like, "Hey, let me help you out too." And that I think that just makes you better. I personally have gotten, obviously, significantly better with my dogs when I started teaching others, when I started helping other people. That made me be even more serious and made me pay attention to the details even more. Made me a
Yeah.
lot better, I can promise you that, and
Yeah.
it's cool to see that you're already doing that.
Yeah. No, it's, uh, to see the people on the hub, and that was my first ever post. And, I like to read a lot on there and see what everybody's kind of struggling with, and to be able to, I see all these, a lot of guys that, they might be struggling with fetch or hold, or heel. How can I, train this part out of my dog? And to know that you were on that same step, you're like, hey, look, just keep pushing forward, keep doing the same thing. Like, I promise you, it's gonna come, or, there might be something else that they're struggling with. And, like you said, some of the older guys that have been around for a while will step in and give them a little bit of, advice for what their dog is particularly doing. But that was, I'm not a big social media guy. I don't have any social media. So that was one of those things where, to post on there, I just I don't really do that a lot, but I've been watching it, and to be able to see, some of the same things, like especially early on, to see some of the same struggles that I was having. Like, okay, well, this same person is having those same struggles. Let me look through here and let me see what they're, what's recommended for what they said. And again, small tweaks,
Oh yeah.
things like that. Every dog is different. What you get in the training lessons are very, very helpful, but it might just be one little small thing that you have to realize as the handler or as the trainer, to make a little bit of a difference. And so that's kind of proven, but the course in itself is proven. I mean, I'm excited to see what 52 is. But it's already proven enough. And like I said, a lot of people would just stop right here where I'm at. They're like, hey, I've got a dog that'll go and retrieve a bird. It's got great focus. It's steady. I want to see what else, where else we can go with this. I know you said we're getting into the fun stuff, and it's encouraging, but it's been pretty cool process to watch along the whole way. But for all the guys that are struggling with other things that are doing the course, just keep going, and really hone into a lot of those like foundation skills to get what you want or get the most out of your dog, because
Wow.
it helps. It helps a lot when you get out in the field and because my first hunt with him, it was, it got real, and you see some of that behavior come out, but once it kind of settles down and you really, you get to those, basics that we learned from the very beginning, it really helped him out. It really helped him settle down, to get
Wow.
him, to get him on place and just watch for birds, and not to have him break, very early on. It was very helpful. So
That's incredible. Well, CJ, man, I'm so honored to have you on this, to
thank
have you
you.
speak so highly of the course, but I want to speak highly of you as we wrap this up. And I mean, the course is great, but if you weren't willing to follow it, and that's the key, you followed it. You've put in the work, and you deserve a big high five for that, and to be acknowledged for that, because I mean, it totally is up to you, and
Yep.
you've followed through thus far, and so you deserve what you've gotten. You deserve those amazing results, and I'm proud of you for doing it. I
Thank
really
you.
do appreciate you, and it's an honor that you would trust us with the process. Out of everybody out there, all the different options, it's an honor that you trust us, because when you get down to it, we are nothing without our members, and we have a lot of people like you that are incredible. But I just want to thank you for being a spokesperson of that, and encouraging other people along the journey too, because I know
Thank
there's a
you.
lot of members out there that are going to listen to this episode, and that's going to be the encouragement they need to be like, you know what, let's do trust this process, because there's a lot of confusion out there, especially if you get going. If you have a bad day of training, and then if you're not close to a Cornerstone member and you go talking to somebody else, they might have you thinking you're doing the wrong thing. You're
Right.
getting off
Oh yeah.
track, and then
Yeah.
you're like, "Oh, man, I did the wrong decision."
Yeah.
When in reality, you didn't, just had a bad day, because it
Right.
happens. That happens.
Yeah.
But
No,
I appreciate you, man. You've done a great job, and it's been incredible to see it, for sure.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you having me on here, and like I said, I hope later on we can share another podcast of the finished dog that he is. Looking forward to the future and see what he's going to become.
We'll certainly do it, man, and maybe we'll share a hunt too. I would love to see it in person. That's one of my
Yeah,
favorite things to
yeah,
see, for sure.
absolutely, absolutely. You just let me know. The truck is always pointed west, so you just let me know when you want to get in it.